Can you imagine your own sister, someone you grew up with, lunging at you, her nails digging into your arm, screaming accusations that make absolutely no sense, and then your parents tell you to leave? That's my nightmare. That's where my story begins, a story that felt like my entire world was falling apart, all because of a car ride home. So, I'm 19 and my older sister, Kate, is 22. Her boyfriend, Adam, is my age. Funny thing is, Adam and I were just acquaintances in high school, same year, same classes. But then he started dating Kate, and we actually became friends. We had a lot in common, same university, same major. It was all pretty innocent. I need to be super clear here. I had zero romantic interest in Adam. Never did. But Kate, she didn't like it. And honestly, I get it. Who wants their younger sister hanging out with their boyfriend? So I kept my distance just like she wanted. But the thing is, we still had classes together. We had to talk sometimes strictly about school, or maybe something related to Kate. That was the boundary, and I respected it. Or so I thought. One evening, after a particularly draining round of classes, Adam was headed to our house for dinner. Kate had invited him. He offered me a ride, since we were literally going to the same place. It was dark, I was exhausted, and honestly, I didn't think twice. I just agreed. The truth is, I fell asleep almost immediately in his car. We barely said a word the whole way. We walked in, and I was just heading upstairs, dreaming of my bed, when it happened. Kate grabbed me. She yanked me back, a sharp, sudden pull, and her voice was laced with an anger I'd never heard. "Why did you two come back together?" she demanded. Adam, bless his heart, immediately tried to explain. He started saying, "Kate, she was just tired. I offered her a ride, but she just exploded. Stop talking for her. Stop defending her," she shrieked, her voice echoing through the quiet house. Her shouts brought my parents rushing in. Then she turned on me, her eyes burning. "Stop being jealous. Go find your own man to drive you home," she practically spat. "I've seen everything. You think every man wants you. You're so desperate." And all this time, she was still gripping my arm, her nails digging into my wrist hard. It hurt. It really, really hurt. So I instinctively yanked my arm away, and she shoved me. Adam, again, tried to intervene, tried to hold her back, but she became this wild, screaming mess. "Stop defending her. You're my boyfriend, not hers," she wailed. My parents, looking bewildered, tried to calm her down, but she was shaking, breathing in short, ragged gasps. Her eyes were fixed on me, and I felt like prey. Shaken doesn't even begin to cover it. Then my mom, without a moment's hesitation, pointed at me. "Leave the room, now. You're triggering her," she yelled. I was confused, accused, my head spinning. I tried to speak, tried to explain that I had no idea what I'd done, but Kate just made these guttural sounds, shaking, panting, glaring at me. It was terrifying. My mom yelled again, and I just ran. I heard them tell Adam to leave too, and he did. Later, Adam texted me, asking if Kate was okay. But honestly, I was too scared to even leave my room. I just lay there, crying. I didn't know if it was a panic attack or a full-blown breakdown, but the anger in her eyes, it was primal. Part of me, the part that had heard her tell me to stay away from Adam, felt responsible. Maybe I shouldn't have taken that ride. I had no one to talk to, just the chilling fear that she might actually do something to me. My parents, I knew, blamed me. They thought it was all my fault. Everyone online, when I finally dared to ask for advice, confirmed my worst fears. They said her insecurities weren't my problem. They told me my parents were enabling her. They said I needed to get out. Kate had always been a little possessive, and Adam was her first serious relationship. She had anger management issues sometimes, but never like this. I tried to tell myself she was just new to these feelings, but the comments kept pushing a different narrative. Jealousy. I started to wonder if they were right. Maybe she was jealous. Adam and I were the same age, had the same interests. It suddenly clicked. I realized I needed to get away, so I decided to stay with a friend. The harassment started almost immediately. After Kate's meltdown, Adam had distanced himself from her and our family. I stayed in my room, only venturing out for school or to grab dinner that I'd eat alone. My mom even told me to stay isolated, worried about how Kate would treat me, especially since Adam wasn't talking to her much. Then, about 3 days after the initial incident, a text popped up on my phone while I was at school. It was Kate, and she said she hated me, and that if I came home that day, she would actually kill me. My blood ran cold. I was utterly confused. I hadn't spoken to her in days. I forwarded the message to my parents, my hands shaking. I was so upset, not just by the threat, but by the insults she piled on. Then she called. When I answered, she was screaming, sobbing. "It's your fault. You never want to see me happy. You took away someone so important to me just because you can't get a man." I tried to tell her I didn't know what she was talking about, but she just kept shrieking, "Liar. It's your fault," over and over. I hung up, my heart pounding. I went straight to Adam. He looked as worn out as I felt. He confessed that he'd broken things off with Kate. She'd been relentlessly calling him, his parents, even texting his friends on Instagram, begging them to convince him to talk to her again. And then, he said, she started threatening him. Not just verbally, but with her life. She told him if he left her, she'd kill herself, and it would be his fault. I didn't believe it at first. My sister? This unhinged? But then he showed me the text. Proof. He told me he couldn't handle it anymore. He was genuinely afraid of her. And then he dropped the bomb. He was scared to even interact with me because he was terrified Kate would hurt me again because of it. After my classes, I called my mom. I tried to explain everything, even offered to put Adam on the phone so he could tell them what Kate had done. But my mom just started yelling. She told me what I was doing was wrong, communicating with the person who caused my sister so much pain. She refused to speak to Adam, refused to hear why he broke up with Kate, because in her eyes, all he did was hurt her daughter. She said my continuing to speak to him meant I didn't care about my sister. I tried to tell her about Kate's death threats to me, but Mom brushed it off. It was just anger. "Stay away from Adam if you don't want to make Kate angrier," she shouted. I kept trying to make her understand how I felt, how terrified I was, but she just dismissed me, yelled over me until I was crying so hard I had to end the call. I stayed at school with Adam for a while. We talked about what I should do. I was just too scared to go home. All the while, Kate was spamming my phone with texts, asking if I was with Adam, demanding to know why I wasn't home. When I didn't answer her calls, she started calling me through my mom's phone. I picked up once, heard her voice, and when she said, "I know you're with Adam," I just hung up. I was exhausted, emotionally drained. I had to face the fear of asking a friend if I could crash at her dorm. She's a close friend, so I poured everything out to her. I've been staying there for days now. I told my parents I was with a friend studying for exams. Both of them, especially my dad, insisted I come home. "You're the youngest. You have nothing with you," they argued, as if that mattered more than my safety. They think I'm overreacting about Kate's threats. They even made me talk to her on the phone again, where she mumbled she didn't mean it. I didn't believe her for a second. They're accusing me of ruining Kate's name by involving others. Can you believe that? I had to turn my phone off completely because of Kate's relentless threats and insults. And every time I told my parents, they made excuses. Then, on Saturday, my parents and Kate came to my school, looking for me. Luckily, I avoided them, but Adam and another friend weren't so lucky. Adam, knowing how dangerous Kate was, avoided them and warned me. My friend, who did talk to them, said Kate asked if I was staying with Adam, and my parents told her to tell me to come home and take their calls. This whole thing was a nightmare. I was constantly worried they'd find me, that I'd have to confront them. I knew I couldn't stay away forever, but the thought of going home. Online, people kept telling me the same thing. My parents would always choose Kate. They said it was time to focus on myself, even if that meant distancing myself from my family. I had tried reasoning with them, tried telling them the truth, but they simply wouldn't hear it. The biggest hurdle, though, was financial dependence. My course load is heavy, and I rely on my parents for everything. The thought of moving out, losing that support, was terrifying. but I knew I had to. One day later, after another wave of support and advice, I made the hardest decision. I was going back to my childhood home, but only to move out. It felt surreal, walking back into that house. I made sure both my parents were home, and I brought my friend with me just in case. My family has this weird obsession with keeping up appearances, so bringing a guest caught them off guard. We sat down, and my friend went upstairs to my room to start packing my things, giving us some space. My parents immediately went into their quiet, persuasive voices, telling me to stop being dramatic, to let it go, to just come home. I calmly asked if I could stay in campus accommodation. My finals were starting soon, and I needed to focus on school, away from all this chaos. I thought they'd appreciate that, since they're so strict about academics. But they flat out refused. My dad said I was too young. My mom just said, "We know it's because of Kate." I looked them in the eye and told them, "I've already decided. I'm doing it anyway." And that's when my dad threatened me. "I'll stop paying your fees," he said, his voice cold. He tried to guilt-trip me about what other family members would think, about how I'd have plenty of time to make up with Kate over the summer. The idea of spending an entire summer with her sent a shiver down my spine. I had already looked into summer housing at school. It was possible if I took classes. Suddenly, my friend came rushing downstairs, her face pale. She pulled me aside, whispered that she'd gone into my room, looking for a suitcase, when Kate had burst in, lunging at her. My friend said Kate stopped when she realized it wasn't me, but she was terrified. She wanted to leave now. I felt my own fear spike. I took my friend to my parents and made her repeat what she'd just said. My mom just sighed, a tired, dismissive sound. "Go if you want. See how you'll survive without us," she said, her voice dripping with sarcasm. I looked at my dad, but he said nothing, just stared blankly. I asked him, "Am I allowed to leave?" He finally spoke, his voice devoid of emotion. "You can go, but you're no longer under my protection. Don't expect anything from us." My friend, bless her heart, squeezed my arm. "It's okay," she said. "I'll help you pack." I asked my parents to tell Kate to come downstairs so I could talk to her, but Mom just scoffed. "She can do whatever she wants. She lives here." So, my friend and I went upstairs. My room was wide open. We hesitated, expecting Kate, but she wasn't there. We quickly packed most of my clothes, not everything, and left. We didn't waste another second. My friend and I went straight to the school to talk about campus housing. I explained my entire situation. Because I'm a freshman, I had to take summer classes to qualify for housing, which I agreed to immediately. They also asked me to speak to campus safety about Kate's threats. Adam and I are going together tomorrow, since we both have evidence. I called my dad afterward and told him about the housing and fees. I asked him again if he really wouldn't pay for anything. To my surprise, he agreed to pay for school fees and housing, but I'd have to figure out food and other expenses. I think I can manage that. About pressing charges, I don't want to risk losing all financial support from my parents right now. I'm not ready to pay for everything myself. And since I blocked Kate, she's actually stopped bothering me. But after my friend's experience, I'm still terrified Kate will do it again to me. Adam, however, is determined to file a restraining order. He hasn't blocked her, just muted her, and he's been meticulously saving all her texts and even voice notes. We're in this together, communicating constantly because we're both dealing with her. All I want is to be safe from Kate. If that means spending my entire summer at school, then that's what I'll do. I don't know what tomorrow holds, but for now, the school has assured me the dorms are secure. This is my final update. I'm okay. Adam is okay. And we're both working to make sure we stay that way. Have you ever had to choose between your family and your own safety? What would you have done in my situation? I really want to hear your thoughts.